My name is David Mercado, and I am doing my presentation on Ansel Adams. Ansel Adams, photographer and environmentalist, was born in San Francisco, California, the son of Charles Hitchcock Adams, a businessman, and Olive Bray. The grandson of a wealthy timber baron, Adams grew up in his house in the sand dunes of the Golden Gate. When Adams was only 4, an aftershock of the Great Earthquake and Fire of 1906 threw him to the ground and badly broke his nose, distinctly marking him for life. A year later, the family fortune collapsed in the financial panic of 1907, and Adams' father spent the rest of his life doggedly but fruitlessly attempting to recoup. An only child, Adams was born when his mother was nearly 40. His relatively elderly parents, affluent family history, and the living presence of his mother's maiden sister and aged father all combined to create an environment that was decidedly Victorian and both socially and emotionally conservative. Adam's mother spent much of her time brooding and fretting over her husband's inability to restore the Adams fortune, leaving an ambivalent imprint on her son. Charles Adams, on the other hand, deeply and patiently influenced, encouraged, and supported his son. Natural shyness and a certain intensity of genius, coupled with his broken nose, caused Adams to have problems fitting in at school. In later life, he noted that might have been diagnosed with hyperactive. There is also the distinct possibility that he may have suffered from dyslexia. He was not successful in the various schools to which parents sent him. Consequently, his father and aunt tutored him at home. Ultimately, he managed to earn his diploma from the Miss K. M. Wilkins Private School, perhaps equivalent to having completed the 8th grade. When Adams was 12, he taught himself to play the piano and read music. Soon he was taking lessons in the art and pursuit of music became a substitute for formal schooling. For the next 10 years, piano was Adams' primary occupation, and by 1920 his intended profession. Although he ultimately gave up music for photography, the piano brought substance, discipline, and structure to his frustrating and erratic youth. Moreover, the careful training and exacting craft required of a musician profoundly informed his visual artistry, as well as his influential writings and teachings on photography. In 1916, following a trip to Yosemite National Park, he also began experimenting with photography. He learned darkroom techniques and read photography magazines, attended camera club meetings, and went to the photography and art exhibits. He developed and sold his early photographs at the best studios in Yosemite Valley. In 1928, Ansel Adams married Virginia Best, a daughter of the Best studio proprietor. Virginia inherited the studio from her artist father on his death in 1935, and the Adamses continued to operate the studio until 1971. The business now known as the Ansel Adams Gallery remains in the family. Adams' professional breakthrough followed the publication of his first portfolio, primarily in prints of the High Sierras, which included his famous image, Monolith, the face of the half-dome. The portfolio was a success, leading to a number of commercials and assignments. Between 1929 and 1942, Adams' work and reputation developed. Adams expanded his repertoire, focusing on detailed close-ups as well as large forms from mountains to factories. He spent time in New Mexico with artists including Alfred Stieglitz, Georgia O'Keeffe, and Paul Strand. He began to publish his essays and instructional books on photography. During this period, Adams joined photographers Dorothea Lange and Walker Evans in their commitment to effecting social and political change through art. Adams' first cause was the protection of wilderness areas, including Yosemite, after the internment of Japanese people during World War II. Adams photographed life in the camps for a photo essay on Wartime and Justice. Weeks before the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941, Adams shot a scene of the moon rise above a village. Adams reinterpreted the image titled Moonrise Hernandez, New Mexico, over nearly 4 decades, making over 1,000 unique prints that helped him to achieve financial stability. Adams spent much of 1970 printing negatives in order to satisfy demand for his iconic works. Adams had a heart attack and died on April 22, 1984, at the community hospital of Monterey Peninsula in Monterey, California, at the age of 82. His first image has a bit of significant history. During World War II, Ansel Adams worked for the U.S. Department of the Interior. Adams took a series of photographs that documented the day-to-day life of Japanese Americans that were imprisoned at the Manzanar Relocation Center in California. Included in the many photographs he took were images of Mount Williamson as seen by the Japanese American prisoners. For description, this photograph entitled Mount Williamson Clearing Storm was taken in 1945. Adams' mastery of the photographic medium is evident here. Like many of his photographs, this image captures a variety of tones. There is a high level of contrast as highlights and shadows are captured here. However, the tones in between white and black give the image a dynamic show of light and makes for a compelling landscape. The interpretation: this picture seems to place the audience in the shoes of Japanese Americans unjustly relocated to prison camps, having to suffer from the prejudice and fear placed on them by patriotic Americans in the years of the World War II. They lived difficult lives and were treated unjustly. Looking out into the wasteland, one would see a landscape similar to what Adams has captured in Mount Williamson Clearing Stone, but the role of the viewer has changed from someone capturing the landscape sublimity, but instead as yearning for justice and freedom. Evaluation: overall, this photograph is good. The camera is positioned rather low to where the viewer is almost eye level with the stones scattered across the landscape. The result is an image where the viewer is looking upward toward Mount Williamson in the distance. In effect, the landscape becomes more vast, capturing a traditional sense of depth. Second image, the description. The picture has three separate elements: the town of Hernandez in the foreground, a rim of clouds illuminated on the horizon by the setting sun, and the glowing moon alone in the dark sky above. Interpretation: this image represents photography in the moment. Adams was not at all prepared for this image. He also lost his light meter, so he winged it and guessed on the exposure. He nailed it. This photograph represents how you don't need to have the best equipment or the best locations to produce quality images. Experience saved the day, as Adams took the value of brightness from the moon that he knew from previous measurement and experience and applied his own system of exposure to various aspects of the scene that his master touched and perfected. Evaluation: despite Adams not being prepared and losing his light meter, this photograph is a great photograph. It represents a fine example of an accident of the scene come out with his technical methods, knowledge, and skills in producing the picture from the initial exposure of negative to the final difficult printing process. His third image. Description: this is a photograph of the aspen forest in New Mexico. The tree is bright white, while the rest of the photograph is a variety of grays and blacks. There are several skinny tree trunks behind the bright tree trunk extending to the top and width of the photograph. Some gray leaves can be seen at the very top of the photograph, making the bright tree look like a younger tree. Between the skinny tree trunks there is a black space. Interpretation: this photograph is very interesting. It isn't one of Adams' normal landscapes. It seems as if he was trying to show the cycle of life in this image. The skinny leafless trees coming to an end of the life cycle, whereas the tree covered in leaves is at its prime. Revelation: this is such a simple photograph, but yet has so many interpretations behind it. This picture has a great example of chiaroscuro. I think that's what makes it such an appealing work of art. The photographers I am choosing to compare to Ansel Adams are Margaret Bourke White, William Eugene Smith, and Edward Muybridge. All four photographers had a very different style, but they all did one thing. They made a huge impact in the world of photography. Smith developed the photo essay into a sophisticated visual form. White is best known as the first foreign photographer permitted to take pictures of the Soviet five-year plan, the first American female war photojournalist, and to have her photograph on the cover of the first issue of Life magazine. Muybridge's photography of moving animals captured movement in a way that had never been done before. His work was used both by scientists and artists. Conclusion: Adams had a very rough childhood and early life. Once he found passion in photography, he changed it forever. Adams developed techniques like the sound system and techniques in the darkroom to enhance his images. He had a huge impact in the making of many national parks. He was a part of F-64, which is a movement against the pictorialist photography style. Overall, Adams contributed to world photography in many ways. That is why he is considered a master of photography. Thank you.